Are they announcing tomorrow, I guess, the Federal
Yeah, I think
Reserve,
they announced
the
in the
rate
morning.
increase?
I think the market's expecting 75 basis points. Last I heard, there was like a 15% chance of 100, but I kind of think that may have gone down a little bit.
It's all about the
Yeah.
language for
Yeah.
the future rate increases at this point. We all know what's happening tomorrow. They've done a good job signaling that, but now they have to signal what's next. They have to signal something, and that's what the market's hanging on.
Yeah, I'd love to get back to a point where macro is neutral and you're kind of picking who are going to be the relative winners and losers.
The really big news is Elon moving into Twitter and setting up like a war room with David Sachs and Jason Calcana. They're really trying to make some changes quick. There's so much scrutiny Elon is under at the moment.
And I think if he's, going to accomplish what he set out to do, which is to create, an actual public town square where, there's something of a balance back and forth and people can kind of choose the level of controversy they want to see in their feeds.
Yeah.
Like nobody's really going to be against that. I think that was one of the more common criticisms that I've seen. Put your head down, do your work, Elon, and stop trying to like get involved in every single controversy. And I think there's a decent point there. But I think Elon, he really is so committed to actually promoting free speech that I think he wants to be kind of a signal of that.
We'll see how it evolves. But yeah, I mean, what does it mean for Tesla stock? Him becoming the biggest person in living history. What does this mean for Tesla stock? Do you think it's good or bad overall, or do you think it's neutral?
I think it's mostly neutral, but there's all sorts of stuff going on. First off, I was a little bit surprised that he didn't have to sell more Tesla shares to close the deal. As for Tesla, I don't really think it is going to be much of an impact.
SpaceX and Tesla have been sharing resources for over a decade, and both companies are better for it. I don't see why that's not going to be the case for Twitter.
There's this idea called transfer pricing where you just like you pay an arm's length transaction to different divisions within a company. And I think you would certainly do the same thing, with Twitter and Tesla.
I would say this is the most anticipated release of FSD Beta in many months.
When you can get to the point where, your wife or some uninterested passenger who does not care about full self-driving at all.
Or prefers it.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point they prefer it. Yeah.
At some point they
like an
prefer it.
autopilot.
That to me is going to be a big milestone. The rate of improvement lately has been very, very strong.
It's very good surprisingly so good with pedestrians and bikes that I've noticed, so, you don't want it to make any mistake whatsoever on that stuff, obviously. So far, it's been very impressive to me. I mean, this is certainly a concern I've had. And if he's going to stay hardcore on zero COVID, it could be a big issue in China for production and factory output. And he seems like the economy is not as important now as, keeping the party in power.
One thing that I'm probably most excited about, Tesla still has not spent any money on advertising yet. I think there's probably some very interesting ways which Tesla could try that on Twitter's.
I think they will. I mean, I think, auto sales in Q1 are typically lower. But I do think with where we are in the ramp of Giga Berlin and Giga Austin, like especially in Q1, like this quarter, the ramp is like starting to curve up a little bit. Next quarter, Q1, it's going to be more like that. Q1 and Q2, it's going to be like that to like the maximum part of the S curve. You and I have talked privately about Rocket Lab on our thesis, and what I think we realize is a potential catalyst for Rocket Lab stock price is when Starlink gets floated as an idea more, and Rocket Lab stock may or may not appreciate.
And maybe one final thought on there. We've been saying for a while too that we think the whole market doesn't really understand who the winners and losers are going to be. But like if you look at how far ahead they are just in terms of their business model and their technology, they deserve a lot more of a premium than that in my mind. And on top of that, I think the overall space industry should be worth a lot more than SpaceX at, I don't know what it is, 130 billion, something like that. Plus everybody else thrown together is maybe like another 10 to 20 billion. It's like the whole market cap of that industry 5 years from now, 10 years from now is definitely going to be more than $150 billion. So the whole pie is going to grow. And in my mind, like Rocket Lab's, relative sliver of that pie is definitely going to grow too.